Iran Daily Briefing. Tuesday, April 28, 2026. Iran's foreign minister met with Vladimir Putin in Saint Petersburg on Monday. The meeting came as Tehran proposed shelving its nuclear program in diplomatic talks, not eliminating it, but setting it aside, until the war ends and the Strait of Hormuz dispute is resolved. Washington's position remains that nuclear concessions come first. Those two positions are now on the table at the same time. Here's what happened and what it means. The diplomatic track between Washington and Tehran has been stalled since the planned Pakistan talks collapsed on Friday, April 25th. Today's news picks up from that breakdown. Araghchi is now in Russia. Tehran has put a new framework on the table, and the White House confirmed that President Trump met with his national security advisors on Monday to discuss Iran's proposal regarding the Strait of Hormuz. Today we have four threads: the Araghchi-Putin meeting and what Araghchi said publicly afterward, Tehran's new diplomatic proposal and how Washington has responded, an updated death toll from the Minab school strike, and Iran's United Nations ambassador putting formal blame on Washington for any disruption to Gulf shipping. The two stories from yesterday's episode, the oil market reaction and the blockade numbers, do not have new confirmed developments in today's sourcing. We are not repackaging those threads today. Iran's proposal. Nuclear issues. Later. Iran's latest diplomatic framework, reported by France 24 and Al Monitor, would set aside discussion of Iran's nuclear program until two other things happen: the war ends and the dispute over Gulf shipping is resolved. Under this structure, nuclear issues would not be on the table in the first phase of any talks. That is a significant sequencing shift. Washington has conditioned talks on nuclear concessions from Tehran. Tehran's proposal moves nuclear issues to a later phase. On Sunday, April 27th, Trump addressed that directly. He told reporters, according to globalsecurity.org, that Tehran can call Washington if it wants to talk, but it must give up any plans to build a nuclear weapon. That statement and Tehran's new proposal were made within roughly the same 24-hour window. The White House also confirmed on Monday that Trump sat down with his national security advisors to discuss Iran's separate proposal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, according to Al Jazeera. That meeting happened. What came out of it has not been made public. So the picture, as of this morning, is this: Tehran has proposed a phased structure that defers nuclear talks. Washington has publicly restated that nuclear concessions are a precondition. The White House is actively reviewing the Hormuz component. None of the parties have confirmed whether any response has been transmitted through back channels. Watch for any statement from Washington, official or attributed, on whether Trump's team has responded to Tehran's phased proposal or whether the Hormuz discussion produced a counteroffer. Story 1. Araghchi in Saint Petersburg. On Monday, April 27th, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi met with President Vladimir Putin in Saint Petersburg. This is confirmed by Ara and Iran Wire. NPR reports that Araghchi traveled to Russia to seek political leverage and foreign backing amid the stalled peace talks. On Tuesday morning, today, Araghchi posted publicly on X. He wrote that, and I'm quoting directly here, "Recent events have evidenced the depth and strength of our strategic partnership with Russia." That post is reported by Middle East Eye. Separately, Russian Defense Minister Andrei Belousov held talks in Kyrgyzstan on April 27th with Iran's Deputy Defense Minister Reza Tlaibek, according to Al Monitor citing TASS. The defense-level meeting and the foreign ministers' meeting with Putin happened on the same day in different locations. What was discussed in either meeting beyond the public statement from Araghchi has not been confirmed. The Kremlin has not released a formal readout as of this episode. Watch for a Kremlin statement or Iranian Foreign Ministry readout detailing what was actually discussed. particularly any Russian position on the diplomatic track or the war. Story 2. The Minab school strike, revised death toll. The death toll from the strike on a primary school in Minab has been revised upward. Press TV and other Iranian media reported the figure at 155 people dead. The breakdown, reported through Middle East Eye as the sole source in today's sourcing chain, includes 73 boys and 47 girls. To be precise about sourcing here, the figure of 155 dead and the breakdown of 73 boys and 47 girls comes through a single sourcing chain. Press TV as reported by Middle East Eye. We are treating it as a single source claim. On the timing of the strike, according to Middle East Eye, our sole source on this point, the strike occurred on what has been described as the first day of the war, February 28th. That date attribution comes from one source and one source only. No additional confirmation of the revised toll or the February 28th date has come through independent sources in today's intel. Watch for independent corroboration of the revised death toll from sources outside the Iranian state media chain. Story 3. Iran's UN ambassador assigns blame. Iran's ambassador to the United Nations, Amir Saeed Iravani, issued a formal statement placing responsibility for any disruption to maritime transport in the Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, and Strait of Hormuz directly on the United States and what he called its supporters. This is reported by Mehr News Agency and IRNA. The statement is significant in context. Tehran's diplomatic proposal would resolve the Hormuz dispute as a precondition before nuclear talks. At the same time, Iran's UN envoy is publicly assigning preemptive blame to Washington for any future disruption. The two moves, a negotiating framework and a blame assignment, are running in parallel. Watch for any US or allied response to Iravani's statement at the UN level. Araghchi's post on X this morning. Recent events have evidenced the depth and strength of our strategic partnership with Russia is the only public characterization of Monday's Putin meeting that has come from either side as of this episode. There is no Kremlin readout. There is no joint statement. What we know factually, the meeting happened in Saint Petersburg on Monday. A separate Iran-Russia defense meeting happened the same day in Kyrgyzstan. Araghchi posted publicly on X on April the 28th. The substance of either meeting has not been confirmed beyond that single public post. 3 things to watch in the next 24 to 48 hours, each directly sourced from today's intelligence items. 1. The Kremlin readout. Araghchi met Putin on Monday. No formal Kremlin statement has been released. Watch for an official readout from Moscow or Tehran's foreign ministry that details what was actually discussed. 2. Washington's response to Tehran's phased proposal. Trump's national security team met Monday to discuss the Hormuz component of Iran's proposal. Tehran's broader framework, which defers nuclear talks to a later phase, is now on the table. Watch for any official or attributed US response to that sequencing. 3. The Minab toll. The revised figure of 155 people dead, among them 73 boys and 47 girls, according to a single sourcing chain through Press TV as reported by Middle East Eye, has not been independently confirmed. Watch for corroboration or contradiction from sources outside the Iranian state media chain. Today's episode covered Iran's new diplomatic proposal to defer nuclear talks, Foreign Minister Araghchi's meeting with Putin in St. Petersburg and his public statement afterward, the revised death toll from the Minab school strike, and Iran's UN ambassador formally assigning responsibility for any Gulf shipping disruption to Washington. Join us tomorrow morning for the next briefing. If you found today's briefing valuable, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. New episodes every morning.